Gav, what's on today's show?
We break down what a TEFL teacher actually is and who we are.
We share how students can use AI to boost their learning.
And we look at the future role of human teachers.
You get me to unpack how I give instructions.
And I explain how transcriptions can transform student progress.
We chat about when and when not to give advice to fellow teachers.
Plus, how our followers can support the show.
Sounds like a cracking episode.
So let's get started. Welcome everybody, this is How to English, Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and references will be given when necessary.
Well, hello there.
Hello Em.
Welcome.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Em and I am a TEFL teacher and I am here today to talk to you, Gav, about my job and my teaching experience and my students possibly and anything else that comes to mind.
Em, hold on. What the goodness gracious me is a TEFL teacher?
Well, Gav, good that you asked. You're in the right place. A TEFL teacher is somebody who teaches English as a foreign language. That means teaching English to people whose first language is not English.
And why on earth would they want to learn English?
Many, many reasons. Could be job related, could be for travel, could be for friends, family in other countries, could be that they want to watch TV shows, movies in English, read books in English. They might just like the language and want to practice.
It could be an interest of theirs and they would like to improve that skill so they can simply enjoy English a lot more.
Whatever the reason, wherever they are, they can do it.
With a TEFL teacher.
What about you, Gav?
I'm also a TEFL teacher. I've been teaching English for around 20 years now.
20 years.
20 years.
That's a nice round number.
It is, and next year it will be 21.
Which is not a round number.
But it's a nice number, nonetheless.
That's true.
My students come to me because of all the things that you described, plus they enjoy coming to class.
Gav, that's always a bonus.
Do something that you enjoy. That's what we say. And enjoy what you do.
Don't love your job. Job you love.
I love that phrase, Em. Makes no sense, but I love it. Now let's begin the show because we have many topics that we would like to discuss which are all about TEFL. And both our teacher followers and student followers might learn something from today's episode.
Episode 12, Season 7.
That's quite right. Well done you. Would you like to kick off the show with your first topic, Em? What have you been thinking about recently?
Well, I have been thinking, Gav, about our jobs and about how secure they may be in the future. As we know, we are living in a fast-moving world right now.
Secure like a house of cards?
Possibly not. I don't know what you mean.
I think that's an idiom meaning that it's not very secure.
That's
but
right.
Please continue.
Well, with the development of AI, we all know that AI can help you understand text. If you want to read an article, it can summarize it for you in one sentence or translate it back into your own language if you want.
How does it do that, Em?
You simply take the article that's in English, cut and paste it into an AI, and it will translate for you into your own language.
That is absolute genius. Now, Em, is this going to lead to you asking me the question, what is our role
What is left for us, Gav?
as TEFL teachers?
Yeah. Actually, one of my students asked me this the other day, so I've been thinking about it.
I think there's even more than that, Em. I think you can get AI teachers.
Yeah. How does that work?
You go to a website or get an app and it will teach you in the way that a regular teacher will teach you. They ask you to repeat after me. They ask you to fill gaps. They have a dialogue, conversation type practice with you.
And I think they also give you feedback on what you've said and they transcribe it for you. And human teachers can't do that as far as I know.
That's very true.
We'd have to write really fast.
I think you could use some features in your online platform which maybe could transcribe the entire conversation if you have the know-how.
Fair point. But my question is, what is left for us as teachers of English as a foreign language? Why are students going to come to us in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years' time?
Em, I have the answer to that question.
What's that?
Because we're people.
And how confident are you about this statement?
I am 100% sure that I am a person.
No, I mean, how confident are you they'll come to you because you're a person? Do you not think that AI is going to be like a person? It's going to be impossible to distinguish a human and an AI in the future?
I think inevitably AIs will take over most tasks, including teaching languages, and possibly some generations will think, I don't really care if that's a human, or perhaps I would actually prefer that to be a robot than a person.
I think it's a generational thing.
I think human teachers will be eventually phased out.
Really? That's a very bold statement, and not the one I was hoping for.
Hopefully you will have retired by that point, and it won't be a concern of yours.
Well, that's not really putting my mind at rest, but you really think we're going to lose the whole TEFL job sphere?
Not just TEFL, Em, I think all education will be replaced by AIs.
Wow. Well, I mean, let's keep this narrow because we are TEFL teachers and we're doing a TEFL pod. So coming back to it, you think that students eventually will just not want to have that interaction with a real person?
I think we're already avoiding interactions with humans, like going to auto checkouts in supermarkets and in airports and possibly other places. It's only a matter of time until we won't want to be faced with another judgy, argumentative, pernickety person trying to correct our English.
Well, I think I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think that I have hope for the future generations, and we may be seeing at this time an embrace of that escapism, perhaps, or the feeling that you don't want to interact. But I think the kids of the generation you're describing, the generations you're describing, are going to react and go against what their parents are doing. I think there will be a backlash. I think future generations will reject technology and instead embrace the contact that we once had, and they will look to disconnect from their phones and their screens. And there may be a time where we think back and they will say, wow, they were so focused on the wrong things.
Dependent on technology and not focused on community.
Yeah.
I would love to agree with you, and I think that's a really admirable direction for humanity to go in. But sadly, an AI is considerably cheaper than you, and it's able to teach millions of people at the same time. It doesn't have holidays, it doesn't get sick, it can remember all grammar at all moments and can respond to all questions without making any mistakes.
Well, so far you are describing me, Gav. I don't get sick. I don't really have holidays, and I am pretty good at grammar, but I see what you are saying. It's very
reliable.
Very reliable.
Consistent.
Consistent. Well, I still have hope anyway.
Faultless.
Yeah, I have hope. I think that it just does feel artificial. I know AI, the A is artificial.
It literally is artificial, Em.
But I do feel that when I try and communicate with an AI.
But that's today's AI. Imagine what tomorrow's AI will be like. And as I said, maybe future generations will not be so concerned about that. But I think your idea is interesting, that the future generations would have a sense of togetherness with people and not be too dependent on technology. I'm very curious to see what happens.
We'll have to wait and see what way it goes. And I'm really hoping we do detach ourselves from these blank, faceless AIs. I suppose eventually they're going to have a really nice plush-looking face on them. That would be really creepy as well, though, if they look like humans.
Again, it's only creepy to us, but I think in the future it will be completely normal to walk into a store and talk to an AI and it would give you its plush, smiley-faced response.
Well, that's filled me with a horrible sense of dread, but yeah, okay.
Well, let's be optimistic. Hopefully something...
But you're not being optimistic, in my opinion. Although you're saying that you're happy for that to happen.
As long as I've retired by that point, I don't really care. They can sort it out themselves. I'm not going to fight the tide of progress, Em, as you know. Well, I enjoyed that conversation.
Do you want to move on to something a bit lighter?
Yes, I'm very curious to know what our followers think. Whether they would take the opinion that Em's right about the future, that we're all going to be happy, smiley humans walking around, talking to each other and sharing our knowledge through traditional methods, or that we will fully embrace technology and live in little pods floating in space.
I know which one I'd like, but there we go. Yes, followers, please write and tell us your thoughts.
Would you like them to write or speak to you in person?
Well, I'm not giving out my address, if that's what you mean. Maybe I do want your future. Oh, I don't know.
Would you like to give them your telephone number? No. Let's move away from this rather heavy topic to something much lighter. It's a Gav topic. I've been thinking recently, Em, how do you give instructions to your students? Say you're going to set up an activity. There's a series of stages. You want to give the task to the students. How do you set it up?
Slowly and clearly.
Would you like me to repeat that?
No, that's how I set it up, slowly and clearly. I think you have to really ease into it. I think if you just give your students a huge monologue of instructions, they will only remember the first 10 words of that.
Or the last 10 words.
Or the last 10 words. But I think you have to definitely stop at certain points and check they're following you.
How do you do that? Hold on, break this down for us, Em. Give us detailed instructions on giving instructions.
I think initially I would do some kind of topic-based lead-in anyway, so just get the students thinking about the topic we're going to talk about, which would just be a conversation. For example, it's very hot at the moment, and I think everybody needs ice cream, and what's your favourite ice cream flavour? And then we all talk about that, compare, discuss, and then I'm literally coming up with this as we talk, so I'm not even sure what the task is. But now we're going to read an article about ice cream.
Do you give them group names?
If they want to have a group name. Maybe, yeah.
I find it's a good way to bond the group.
Sorry, okay, let's go back to the beginning. Start again. Group A, what's your name? What's your group name?
Have we divided them into two groups already?
Yeah, how far back do you want to go? Okay, you're going to be in two groups. That is true. Yes, you're going to be in two groups. Group A, what's your name?
Everybody on my left is Group A. Everybody on my right is Group B.
Okay. Group A, what's your name?
I would say talk together, decide on your group name, and when you're ready, tell me.
Right. So Group A, what's your name?
Mint choc chip.
Great. Good flavour of ice cream. Group B, what's your name?
Tutti Frutti.
Great. You notice, Gav, at this point I haven't given them the article. You must give the instructions first before you give them anything.
Don't dangle the carrot until you've used the stick.
Yes.
Now we've established the groups. We've got our two group names. What were they again?
Mint choc chip and Tutti Frutti.
That's it. What's next?
Then you explain that you're going to give out an article about ice cream.
That's useful because we've just talked about ice cream.
See what I mean? Linking it together. But there are some gaps in the article. Group A, you're going to have...
It's not Group A, Em.
Sorry. Mint choc chip, you're going to have the text with some spaces, and Tutti Frutti, you're going to have the same text, but with other information missing. And at this point, I would probably ask some concept checking questions, CCQ.
For example, Tutti Frutti, are you going to read an article?
Yes.
Mint choc chip, is your article the same as the other group?
Yes.
No, it isn't. It has some different gaps.
Okay, but it's the same article, but with information missing.
Best to check, Em.
Yeah.
What's next?
Still don't give it to them. Explain to the students they're going to read the article until they find some missing information. And then the other group will take over. And together they will form the whole article in total. So they need to make notes on the missing information.
Would you check everybody has a pen?
Yes, definitely you need a pen for this task. Everybody got a pen?
Yes, we have.
How's that sound?
That sounds really, really good. I think you explained that very well. Then you say to the students, begin, and if there are any problems during that activity, would you step in?
Probably, yeah. I might wait for a minute, see if they can work it out together. Somebody usually can work out what's the problem. You might need to check who starts. Usually these tasks have numbers, so you see which one has number 1 for the first part that's missing. Could be a whole sentence, could be 1 or 2 words, so you might need to check that too.
I've got an extra task that you might want to do before you begin.
In that specific situation?
Yes. Before they start reading the text, they might want to work in their little group and decide what they think the missing words might be.
That's always good as well. A bit of prediction.
Exactly. And then when you get to the end of the activity, Em, will you have any instructions for them?
Check it with the other group to make sure it's correct.
Maybe pair off one student from each group, go through the text again, make sure they've not got any spelling mistakes, any errors, and then I guess the teacher would congratulate them on their hard work.
Or you could read it in its entirety as a group together, discuss whatever the topic is about, and maybe there's some extra things you hadn't talked about in your lead-in.
That's very good. So there might be some details in the text that you can question the students over. You could also ask the students to make a little mini quiz.
That'd be nice too. Whatever is relevant to the text would be good, yeah.
And that would be another set of instructions from the teacher later on.
That's right.
Thank you, Em. I think you described giving instructions very, very well. You made it seem really easy, but from my own experience, it's not.
No, there's so many things that can go wrong. I think everybody has a different interpretation of things, so you have to really check as you go along that they're following what you're saying.
Yes, that's very true. Keep checking all the way through until the students actually begin the activity. Cool. What have you been thinking about recently, Em?
Gav, recently I have been thinking about transcripts.
Transcripts for listening tasks?
Yeah.
Where do you find those?
Back of the book.
Ah.
Usually. And as I mentioned before, with the AI apps now, they can transcribe what you say, and online resources like videos, presentations, TED Talks, that kind of thing, they often have the transcripts available. So you can follow or read after you've watched the video.
You could download it later and analyse it.
Do you use transcripts, Gav, when you teach?
Not often enough.
What do you use them for, and how do you incorporate them into your lessons?
I might turn to the transcript if I can't get the audio to work.
That's always a good backup.
Or I might think, actually, that's a bit more fun. I'll get my students to read the transcript rather than listening to the audio.
That's quite nice. Not every time, obviously, but just as a one-off, it could be quite good as a sort of performance play type situation.
And then you can ask the remaining students to answer some questions based on what they just heard from their classmates.
Definitely, there's been occasions where I have needed the transcript because the audio didn't work, and I've built up the task to the point where you can't just say, sorry, it's not working, we have to abandon that. So it's really good to know where it is if you need it in an emergency. But yeah, I think also as an occasional acting exercise, but don't forget, listening tasks are really important, and you need to really get your students to listen without any hand-holding, because it's an important skill to develop.
And often if they're reading, they might not be absorbing the language.
Also true.
I might also use transcriptions to highlight some of the language, maybe the structures. For instance, today we looked at the verb worth.
To be worth
Yes.
something.
Worth plus noun or verb ing.
Would that be a gerund?
That is a gerund.
Worth doing something, worth visiting somewhere.
Or worth the time, worth the money, worth it.
Very good phrase to know. So how did this involve a transcript, Gav?
After doing a listening task, we went to the transcription and then we read through it and just highlighted some of the worth phrases and looked at the grammar form.
That's nice, because they may not have even noticed it when they were doing the first listening task, then you can get really analytical about the language. And I often do that. I often go to the transcription to see specific phrases, to highlight those phrases and to ask students, do you understand that in this context?
Do you ask, do you understand that, student?
I'd probably just say, do you know what that means? Or what does that mean?
And then you would expect them to explain the use of worth.
Yes.
I like that.
But if you've already taught that, I mean, you sound like that was the lesson that you were teaching, to be worth something. I'm thinking about the other vocabulary. I would highlight other phrases that wasn't the key language and just highlight some of those phrases and say, well, what about this word? What does this mean? And do you use this word in your language?
That's true. You could do that as well, because you've got a whole body of language, not just the focused grammar of that lesson.
And often after that, I'd get the students to read the transcription again. So you listen first, analyse some of the language, and then read it just to clarify it in context so that they're not just leaving that where it was without seeing it again in context.
I like it. You can also use a transcription for pronunciation practice.
Yes. Don't forget that our podcast has its own transcription.
Does it?
Well, I think you know it does.
Because I make it.
You make it.
But I'm not sure many people have been to our website, howtoenglishpod.com, where you can find all the transcriptions for all the shows.
Wow, that is a great resource, Gav.
It's a corpus.
Yes. And what are the benefits of having our transcription to hand, Gav?
I think that teachers and learners, after listening to the episode, could pop over to our website and check out the transcriptions, read back through them, and have a look at some of the language we use, Em, during our show.
If there's something you miss, you can always check what that word was. You can read along if there's something you're not clear on.
Learn a few new phrases and develop your reading skills. It's always useful. That's a good tip, Em. Thanks for highlighting that for us.
Have you got one more topic for us, Gav?
Em, I've always got something up my sleeve. Let me have a look at my list of TEFL topics. Something I've been thinking about recently is, have you ever given another teacher advice? And how did that go? Because giving advice is something that must be done very, very carefully. It may be taken as a criticism rather than as a suggestion.
Yes, I have, Gav. I have given advice, but you're right. It is a very sticky situation because, firstly, if it hasn't been asked for, sometimes I hold back because it might not be welcome advice. It may be, seen as criticism.
Even if you see that the teacher is making a dreadful mistake and you think, I could really help with this.
Even then, because I know from my own experience, sometimes you don't take advice. You have to just learn it the hard way. And it doesn't matter if somebody's telling you something. You just think you know best. Yeah, it's kind of tough love sometimes. You have to just let people make mistakes. It obviously depends on the mistake they're going to make or the problem they're going to
encounter.
So, for example, if they're going to open a window and a vase is going to fall out the window, I would say, don't open that window because that's going to fall out the window. And that would be clearly advice needed at that point. But if a fellow teacher came to me with a lesson plan and I could see that the form was wrong for the grammar point, then I would be quite confident in pointing it out to them, like the vase situation. You know, that's wrong, and if you teach that, they're going to learn it wrong. So that's quite a clear thing.
Even at the risk of embarrassing them?
Yeah, I think I would have to say that's not what it should be, or you need to just change that, or have you made sure that's right?
Because they might be even more embarrassed if later on they find out that they mistaught something to a big group of people.
Yeah, that's a lot worse, isn't it? So just maybe check the form on that, because I'm pretty sure it's not right. Something like softly, don't have to be hard about it.
What if you saw a task on the teacher's lesson plan that would take considerably longer than they expect?
That is a more difficult thing to give advice on, I think, because they may want it to last longer.
But if you look down the right column and it says 15 minutes, that the task will take, but you know that's going to take 35 minutes. You want to highlight that mistake.
I think so, but this is where I start to doubt whether it's welcome, because that's somebody's lesson plan, and if they think it's going to take that long, maybe they need to understand it won't by doing it themselves.
That is tough love.
Well, what would you do? Would you say that's going to take a lot longer than you think?
I'm not sure anybody would ask me.
Well, I would.
Well, in that case, if you asked me, I would be as honest as I could with you, Em, without hurting your feelings, because I'm sure that you would put your blood, sweat and tears into a lesson plan, and you'd expect it all to be correct.
I don't know about this, because as a new teacher, you're going to write a lesson plan. You are going to put your blood, sweat and tears into it. And if you show an experienced teacher that lesson plan and they basically just pull it apart, because there are going to be a lot of things wrong with it, and there's more than 10 things that they say this isn't going to work, that's going to take too long, your form's wrong there, that isn't the right task for that activity, how are you going to feel about it?
Dreadful.
And you're going to be nervous, and you may not have time to rewrite that plan. So I think there's got to be a certain level of, well, good luck with that. And then they come out and they say, well, that took 30 minutes longer than I thought it would, but it was fine. I mean, we've all done it as teachers. We've all dragged out tasks or finished tasks really fast and thought, oh no, I haven't got anything else to do. So I think you can just say maybe take in more tasks with you, or just maybe have something ready if there's somebody showing they're bored. You know, don't just say this part of your lesson plan is rubbish.
Or conversely, you could say, don't worry about scrapping the second half of the lesson because the first half is really solid.
Yeah, the way you phrase it's really important. I think that is the point we're trying to make, because who can say what is a good lesson and what isn't? Sometimes you can have a task that lasts the whole lesson and it's brilliant.
You might not get past stage 1 of your lesson plan.
Yeah. So it may not be the way you do it. It may not be what you think is the best way to do it as a teacher, but that doesn't mean you're right. I'm sure there's been a lot of inexperienced teachers that have found ways of doing things that were amazing that experienced teachers wouldn't even think of.
True. Could we end this final topic with some suggested phrases that we could use to approach our colleagues in a much more sympathetic way?
That happened to me too, is a good phrase. If anybody ever comes out of a lesson in tears or upset about something that happened.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. That's happened to me. That really helps, to know you're not alone.
Never mind. There's always next time.
Yeah. I'm sure they didn't notice. That's one I've definitely used.
Nobody got hurt.
Worse things have happened on the similar sort of theme, yeah. You'll know for next time. You've learnt it now. Something like that.
That sounds good. That's very reassuring.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that again?
That sounds like a criticism.
Might be best to avoid that one then. And avoid phrases like, well, I wouldn't have done it like that.
Yeah. That didn't work, did it?
I can see where you went wrong.
Mm.
Why did you do that?
I told you so.
There you go. Phrases not to use.
You didn't listen. Yeah, those are not going to help. I like that, Gav.
I feel fully advised now, and I think I'm going to take this advice from you to conclude the show by mentioning a favourite drink that I might like to partake from time to time. Do you know what it's called?
Is it coffee, Gav?
And do you know where you can get it?
I do know. It's at ko-fi.com/howtoenglishpod.
That is the place to buy Gav's favourite drink if you enjoyed today's show.
Show us some appreciation. Buy us a brew.
I'm with you on that one, Em. Thank you very much for another really good chat. I hope that our TEFL conversation sparked some joy for our teacher and student followers.
Me too, Gav.
Catch you later.